regret or old secrets. The camera reveals Jimin and Jungkook's moment. At first, it only looks like a brief moment, a small snippet in a documentary video entitled 7 Nights in Tokyo, but for millions of soldiers around the world, those seconds felt like opening a secret box that had been locked for years. A scene that never expected to go viral, Jimin and Jungkook, sitting side by side in a corner of the rehearsal studio in unusual silence. The camera captures everything. A bitter smile, a heavy sigh, and a pair of eyes that don't seem ready to meet reality. And no words of love were spoken. No tears were shed. But in that silence, there is something deeper than just the friendship or togetherness of a group. What really happened that night? Unrequited love? Regrets of the past? Or the old secrets that have been kept neatly behind the stage, lyrics and searchlights? The moment happened while they were on a tour of Japan, the 3rd night in Tokyo. That day, all BTS members were gathered for a closed-door training session. The documentary camera that follows their activities since the morning highlights various preparations, light jokes between the members, as well as small debates about choreography. But towards evening, the mood changed. Jimin and Jungkook look away from the crowd. They sat on the edge of the studio room while the other members began to leave. The music has been stopped. The studio lights began to dim. But the camera stays on. In that silence, Jimin spoke slowly. "You know, I still think about that night." Jungkook, who was sitting next to him with his head down, did not answer immediately. Only a short, almost inaudible murmur. The camera zooms in on the corner of Jimin's face, eyes staring blankly at the floor, hands clasped in each other's lap, and a look that is difficult to interpret between sadness and guilt. Then Jungkook said, "Me too, but I was too scared to ask again." The cut was only 30 seconds long, but it was enough to cause a storm of speculation. What are they really talking about? What night do they meet? Is it about the past, about words never spoken, or about flavors that are too complicated to name? Shortly after the video was released, the ARMY community was made a splash. The forums are full of theories. Some believe that it has to do with their difficult times when BTS's beginnings were close to breaking up. Some have linked it to rumors that Jimin and Jungkook were involved in a personal conflict that was never discussed publicly. But most fans felt there was something more emotional, more personal. Several music analysts close to the K-pop industry revealed that since last year, there have been changes in the lyrics written by Jimin and Jungkook. Their songs are no longer just about growth and achievement, but also about loss, sacrifice, and painful honesty. Jimin's solo track, Hidden Trace, even has a verse that now feels like a clue. "I looked back once, you were already gone but your shadow stayed," whispering a song, as well as Jungkook's song, Second Silence, which contains lyrics. "If we had spoken that night, would things be right? Or just harder to fight?" A week after the viral video clip appeared, in a live broadcast on Weverse, Jimin was asked directly by a fan, what was the meaning of the moment you and Jungkook were in the studio that night? Jimin smiled a little, then looked down. He answered slowly, "Sometimes we don't realize that the things we avoid talking about are the most important things to talk about. But not everything has to be explained. Some memories are better remembered, not parsed." That answer raises more questions than clarity. But that's exactly where their strength lies, the ability to still maintain the line between honesty and privacy, between distributing wounds and protecting the remaining ones. Jungkook himself had no immediate comment. But 3 days later, he uploaded a short video on Instagram, a picture of the night sky, with an instrumental track that sounds like a demo of an unreleased song. The caption is just one sentence. "Some answers live in silence." Is this pent-up love? Regrets that have not healed? Or an old secret that will forever be hidden behind the moment? Maybe we'll never know for sure. But whatever it is, one thing is certain. The camera has captured not just events, but honest, raw, and undeniable emotions. And for those who watch it, the moment will live much longer than a video showed. He will live in memory, in the songs that come later, and in the whisper of the hearts of fans who know both of them not only as idols. But as humans ever stare at each other in silence and, for a moment, understand each other without having to say anything, after that night, everything seemed to change. Not because of an official statement, nor because of a dramatic confession, but because of something more silent. Subtle vibrations in the way they look at each other, in the pauses between sentences, in the new lyrics that seem full of hidden messages. Jimin and Jungkook began to appear more often in small joint projects, not always on the big stage. Sometimes in late-night radio broadcasts, sometimes in personal vlogs recorded without makeup, just the two of them, talking about trivial things like coffee, the weather, or how it feels to lose something you never fully owned. In one of the vlogs, they sat on a hotel balcony while it rained. Jimin is wearing a gray hoodie, Jungkook a loose t-shirt, and tousled hair. The atmosphere is calm, only the sound of rain and occasional lightning in the distance. Jungkook looked towards the city and asked Hyung, if you could go back to one night, which night would you choose? Jimin did not answer immediately. He took a deep breath. The night I chose silence. Because maybe if I talk, everything will be different. No more explanation. But Jungkook's face instantly stiffened, then softened. But that night also made me understand you. They stared at each other for a few seconds. Not for long. But it was deep enough to make the millions of ARMY who watched it feel like they were witnessing something that wasn't for the public. It's like opening an old letter that should never have been read. Rumor after rumor began to circulate, as usual. Some speculate about their relationship more than best friends. Others believe they have been involved in a traumatic personal moment, a major dispute or decision that ended in injury. But none of the news was confirmed. It is precisely in such obscurity that their closeness becomes even more noticeable. A few weeks later, BTS released a surprise song titled Echo. The song was not announced in advance and simply appeared on the Midnight Music platform. More surprisingly, only Jimin and Jungkook sang. The song is like a letter that never got sent, about two people who once waited for each other in silence, looking for each other in the shadows, but never really having each other. The opening stanza was sung by Jimin, softly and almost in a whisper. I heard your voice in the hallway light, but when I turned, you were lost in the night, followed by Jungkook's fragile yet warm voice. I never said the things I meant. I wrote them in the air and watched them bend. No need for video clips. No need for promotion. The song immediately broke the #1 chart in more than 60 countries. But not because of vocal technique or musical arrangement, but rather because of the story behind it, a story that is not explained, but perceived. The ARMY began to refer to this moment between Jimin and Jungkook as the Echo chapter, a new chapter that seems to be a continuation of everything they never said. It's not just about two idols, but about two hearts that once crossed paths too deep, they can't look at each other without leaving a trace. In an interview with a Japanese magazine, when asked about the meaning of the song, Echo, Jungkook replied, "The song is like a reflection. You talk, but only the wall reciprocates. If you're patient enough, sometimes you hear his voice again." And when that happened, you knew he was still there. Jimin, who was sitting next to him, looked at Jungkook for a long time. And then he said quietly, "And we chose not to close the door." The sentence is simple, but full of layers of meaning, as if to imply that whatever had happened, whether love, whether regret, whether secret, they had passed through. Not by removing it, but by embracing it. Now, more than a viral story or a moment captured on camera, the relationship between Jimin and Jungkook has been transformed into a kind of living poem. About two people growing up together in a stressful world. They hurt each other, but they never really left. And as the world keeps wondering if it's love, regret, or an old secret, both just smile. Because they know, whatever their name is, they have accompanied each other in silence. And that goes much deeper than just a definition. And there it is, love, regret, or an old secret. The camera has revealed it all. But only the heart can truly understand its meaning.